Hello everyone, Linda Israel here, and I decided that I would record a little session for y'all for this Monday, August the 19th, 2025. And if you didn't know, I am on vacation and we are celebrating Henry's birthday, which was July the 16th, and my birthday, which was August the 17th, by getting out of town and going on a cruise. So I've collected a few things here and I thought I would share with you some ideas and hopefully inspire you to do some creating. I've been working on a journal that we've been calling Mostly White with Soft Colors. And I grabbed a few things that I thought would go together to kind of blend with those pages that I've already made and pages that I hope to make in the next week or so. On top here, I've got a couple of images from Calico Collage. I have I think this is a gessoed page that I stenciled on top of. I've got some scrapbook papers, book pages. Here's a gel print. I have a napkin. I even have a scrap of wallpaper. So let me clear back my desk a little bit to start with the first thing that I want to do. Oh, and I even have some stickers. I don't know if I'll use all of it, but this is what I got out. I figured if I had it on my desk, then I'm more likely to use it than have to go search for it when I'm ready to create. So right off the bat, I have 2 pages out of a large family Bible. And I know y'all are going to come at me, but I use books, Bibles, encyclopedias, dictionaries, concordance, teaching materials, that kind of thing, that I get from the library book sale. We have one that's called Friends of the Metropolitan Library book sale in Oklahoma, and they usually have it in February. I noticed the other day that there was also one in August. I don't need any more books, but this is what I have. And a lot of times the books are damaged, they're out of print, and they're going to end up in the trash. So instead of doing that, I'm going to use them. So I've got 2 pages, and then I have a napkin here that I thought would be kind of pretty to cover the pages, but I need to set up my page the way that I want. My journal that I'm working on is basically 8.5 inches by 11 tall, so it's a really big journal. I'm going to take my paper trimmer and use it to score my book page here. I'm going to go over to the 8.5 inch area and I'm going to score down the page. You can see that a little bit, I think. And I will fold this over just a smidge. And then my thought was, what I want to do is I want to position these where they are stacked on top of each other, and using this page that I folded over to help kind of glue them together. So I kind of have an idea of where I'm going to nest it so that I can get the full size of paper out of it. I'm going to put down some glue here and then lay this over the top, matching up where I scored it. Trying to get it as even as I can. And then I'm just pressing that together. So in theory, this should be, what is that, 17 inches? Maybe a little bit less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. A little bit less than 17 inches. So I may have gone over a little too far, but I think it's okay. All right, so now that I've got that, I want to cover this with this napkin. It won't fit over the whole thing. I do have a second napkin that I can pull out if I can remember where I put it just a few minutes ago. Or maybe what I'll do is use part of it. Now this is a multi-layered napkin, so I'm going to peel this apart. You can save this or not. That's up to you. Sometimes I save them, sometimes I don't. I think what I want to do is position this. It almost covers to the edge. And I think what I can do is end up putting something down this edge to cover it up. I may even add some lace or something like that. So we've got an idea. I'm going to set this aside for a moment. And I've got some Elmer's glue around the start of school here in Oklahoma. So there's an abundance of this around. I'm just going to go over here to the edge and go all the way across. And it'll use a lot of this glue. So I'm just going to keep going. Get a little bit more. So when it was on sale, I went to, where did I go? You know, I never go to Walmart. And I did the other day because there was something we needed. And that was the only store locally that I knew of that would have it. And as I was checking out at the front register, I noticed that they had glue sticks, 2 for 50 cents. So I bought some. All right, so now I'm going to do, I'm trying to decide if I want to fold this over on the other side. I think I will. I'm going to kind of center it top to bottom and lay it down. I'm just going to use my hands to smooth it out. And I'll flip it over. I'm going to use my foam folder to kind of help smooth it. So how is everybody? Y'all having a good day, a good start to your week on a Monday? If I have internet where I am on my cruise, I will stop in and chat with y'all, as this will be a live premiere. And if you're watching this as a replay, you'll be able to see the chat, but you won't be able to chat with us. But I'd love to have you at my next live stream, which will be on Monday the 20, whatever that day is. I didn't look it up before I started this live or this video. So I'd love to have you come visit and hang out with me. We got that covered. So I've just got these edges over here. So I think what I'm going to do is look through my scraps and see if I have something that I feel would be a good fit. I have this purple roses. I could cut a strip of that to go down the edge. I'm looking up at my camera. If you're ever trying to figure out how something looks and you're looking at it straight on, but you just can't quite visualize how it's going to go together, you can take a photo of it and then put that photo on a tablet or your computer or use your phone to look at it, zoom in, zoom out to kind of see if there is anything that you need to change before you put it together. And I kind of think, I'm looking at, I don't think that, is that what we want, is to do a strip of this down the side? I do have this purple, it's kind of like a lace pattern. You know, I'm thinking that I'll go with this. And what I'll do is I'll just cut some 1 inch, maybe 2 inch. I can go over to the other side, but I think I'll just do some 1 inch and put that down the sides. And then we will fold this in half so I know where my 2 halves are. Yes. Cut this into 1 inch strips. I'm trying to use up some of the scraps that I have. I have papers that I've purchased through, you know, scrapbook paper pads. I have things that have been given to me over the years. And so I have an abundance of things. If you have followed any of my videos, you probably are aware of this. But I have a large craft room that is full of stuff. And I'm really trying to use up as much of it as I can. And I try my very best not to shop for new things because I have a lot of stuff that I can use already on hand. Just added some distress ink that was walnut stain. This may be longer. I think it is. All right, I'm going to go ahead and glue it down and then I'll trim off the excess. So I'll just add a little bit of Aleene's tacky glue down this edge. We can still see the book page under the napkin. So if you're using books as your foundation, you might want to look at it first and see what kind of text it has, because depending on the journal you're working on, if it says something that you feel is inappropriate, you may not want to use it if it's still visible, like it could be under this napkin. And there are ways to fix that. You could coat it with some paint or just cover it with some solid paper so that you don't see. I'll just use my scissors and cut off the excess here. All right, so we've got a start to my page. I think, I'm trying to decide if I want this to be when you flip to the journal, this is what you see. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to fold it to the inside. I do plan to decorate both sides of this. So that would be a half of the page. And I think that's really quite pretty the way that it is. So I'm going to kind of build this page individually. So since we've got this, let's see what I have in my stash of stuff here. I have a little piece of wallpaper. I don't know that it goes on this side. It might work better on the other side. I do have this unicorn image, and I have this purple painted paper. I think that's kind of pretty. You know what I could do is mat this with some white behind it. I think I still have some white cardstock that I haven't used. I've got this white Elegance. This was SEI paper. It's probably really old. It was $9.99. I don't know if it was given to me or if I bought this because I've had it for a really, really long time. I'm going to look at it. I think this pattern right here would be pretty. All right, I'm going to pull this one out. We'll audition it and see how we like it. It's not super thick cardstock, but it is cardstock, so it should work really well. So if I were to put this and then have it with a white border and then put the unicorn image on top and then place that on the page, we can make a really pretty pocket element. I think that's what I want to do. I'm going to cut this purple piece to frame the unicorn, and then I'll cut the white piece to fit that. So let's set this aside and get my paper trimmer. So I'm going to looking to see. I think this is the pretty side. Yeah, let's just do this one. I want a little bit of a border all the way around my unicorn image. So I will kind of position that where I think I want it. I think right about there. Make sure it's straight. And then let's cut this portion off. Raise it up a little. All right, so we got that in the purple. And then looking at this white, it has a strip on it. So I think what I want to do is make sure that I cut that off. I'll just cut it down to 12 inches. That'll allow it to fit in my paper cutter better. And then I want to make a frame. So let's see what we've got there. If I go to 5 inches, that'll make a nice little border all the way around. So let's do that. 5. I could go bigger, but I think 5 inches is enough. And I have a scrap left over. And then let's see what we've got here. So probably is 6.5. 6.5 isn't enough. So right about there. I think that looks pretty good. And I'll save that piece for something else later. All right, so I've got my page and I've got a oversized pocket. I'll go ahead and do some distress ink over the edges and look at this and decide what else could I put down. I have some pieces of mulberry paper. That's not big enough. This one is big enough. Is that too much? I hate to cover up the napkin, so I'm trying to decide if I want to tone the napkin down with a little bit of the mulberry. I think I'm going to leave it off. I think this is going to work the way that it is. All right, so what I want to do is I want to glue these pieces together, and I think I want to go to the sewing machine and stitch around this outside edge. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So first, we're going to glue this down. Since this is kind of a coated paper, I'm going to use some Beacon 3-in-1, Fabri-Tac, those types of glues. This bottle is almost empty, so I've been trying to use it up so I can open the next new bottle. Put that in the middle here. And before I glue this down, all right, yes, I'm in far enough that if I stitch around that, I'm not going to interfere with the unicorn image. This is from Calico Collage's Fairy Tale, and I love the images that she chose for that kit that she created. I think she even created some of these images digitally, completely from scratch, not just using ephemera or vintage images that she had. Okay. Let's audition it again. I think that looks really pretty. All right, so I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I will zigzag stitch all the way around. So let's get the sewing machine ready. Okay, so I have a regular sewing machine. I have set it up to be a zigzag stitch. I have black thread in the upper and black thread in the lower. I do recommend that if you're going to sew over something that you have used a liquid adhesive, that you let that adhesive dry. I didn't put adhesive all the way out to the edges, so I'm not real concerned about having problems. But if you start to have problems, more than likely you didn't wait long enough for your glue to dry. I'll start here in the corner and I'll just line this up and start stitching. When I get to the end or the corner where I want to turn, I'll just raise my presser foot and flip my piece around and then start stitching down the other side. And here is how it looks once it's been stitched. I think that looks really good. Now I'm trying to decide, do I want this to be a top loading pocket or a side loaded pocket? And I think we could get away with doing a top loading pocket for this one. And I want to make sure that I can use the full size of this. So I'm going to grab some book page to see if I can make a gusset for the back of this. I could have done this before I sewed it, but I decided it'd be just as fun and easy to do afterwards. So what I'm going to do is position it a little bit away from the edge, and then I'll cut this off, and then this will be what I will use to attach it to my page and be able to use the whole size of this as a pocket. I'm just using my bone folder to help push the glue all the way out to the edge. If you don't have a bone folder, you could use an old gift card or an old credit card. There's other tools you can pick up that you can use as well. All right, so now I'm just going to trim this. I like to cut off the corners, and then I will fold all these edges to the inside. And since this will be a top-loading pocket, I'll go ahead and glue this portion down. You could cut it off. I like to glue it down because it just gives it a nice clean edge. And I think today I'm going to do a technique that I've done before, because sometimes when you make a pocket like this, you go to slide something in, it will hit the bottom and it doesn't stay all the way seated. So I'm going to grab another book page. Yeah. And I'm going to cut this to fit within this pocket. So you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a moment. Oopsie. I'm going to cut it just a little bit shorter than the foundation. And maybe this isn't necessary, but I like doing this technique because then all these edges are not going to interfere with my pocket. So what I'll do is glue the tabs to this book page that I inserted, and then I'll glue the whole thing down on my page. So it makes it a nice clean pocket. So now when we glue this down, we'll have this area here and we won't catch on anything when we put it down. So now I'm going to glue this down. I'll make sure that there's glue really close to this edge so that piece gets glued down well, and then go all the way around the perimeter and then a little bit down the middle. I've got this little label that I made that says Collect Beautiful Moments, and I think I'll put that at the bottom here. I just saw these. I have a few buttons. I never use buttons because they usually are too bulky and I don't always like using them. But I wonder if I were to put a couple of these buttons, wouldn't that be kind of pretty right there in the corner? I'm looking at the camera. I think that would be good. All right, I'll get the beacon glue and I'll glue those in place. One of them has lots of little rhinestones. I think that looks pretty. Let's see, I'm looking at it straight on. Yeah. I used buttons. So our pocket is up here. So we want to put something in our pocket that we can pull out. So let me see. I think maybe I've got some white cardstock here. I do. This is a scrappy piece. So we can cut it to fit and make it like a large tag or a large journaling card. So if I remember correctly, my pocket is about 5 inches wide. So I'm going to go just shy. I'm looking at this to see. Okay, just shy of 5 inches. I made it 6 inches by mistake. That's okay. I was looking at the wrong number. I probably could have used this other piece, but... So this will fit down in my pocket, in theory. I may need to make it shorter. Yeah, let's make it a little bit less. I'm going to do 4 3/4 of an inch. And then it won't, I don't have to fight so much to put it in my pocket. I don't necessarily want it sticking out this far, so I think I'll come down just a little bit and cut this off. Maybe, let's do 7 1/4. A lot of the times I just trial and error and see what fits. I think that worked. Now we need to, I think I'll round the corners, decorate this somehow or add some embellishment to it. I want to keep it fairly simple so that there's plenty of room to write or add photographs. Let's add some distress inks to it. I decided I think I want to add a little bit of some lace on there. So I got out some lace that we can use, and I think I want to do some stamping. So I'm going to grab a scrap of paper to put behind here, and let's do the henna rose. I'll do it in black ink because I think it'll look really good. Actually, do I want to do it in black? I have lavender here. Is that the right color? Yeah, I think it does, because it pulls the color out of the napkin. So I'll stamp it across here. Adds a little bit to it, and I'll do it on the other side too. There we go. And then looking at this lace, I think what I'll do is add a little bit up here at the top. I don't know if I want to add this one or not. I was looking for a lace that I thought would fit. Maybe this ivory lace would be better. And I could just put a little bit right here at the top. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's go over to the sewing machine and I'll sew it down. So we're going to start about here, and I'll just kind of ruffle it up as I sew. Sounds like my thread's having problems. It is. If you can buy a self-threading needle threader machine, do it, because I love this machine for that feature. It's doing it again. What is your problem? I think I was having a problem because of the paper. So I'm going to try one more time. think I got it that time. It may be a little messy, but we'll add some embellishments to it or something. You know what? I have some more of these buttons. I see a couple of bigger ones. Maybe one more. So I'll place some glue here. And put down a couple of buttons. And then I have some little paper flowers that I think would look good. You stay there where I want you. I think I'll put another flower up here, like that. And then this will fit in my pocket. Oh, that looks pretty. So just added a little bit on there. I am going to set this aside for right now because I want this glue to dry and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm just going to set this over here to the side. And I think on this side at the moment, that's all I want to do. So I'm going to flip it over and let's add something to this side. What if we were to cut this in half and make 2 pockets? I think that would be a good idea. So this measures about 5.5 inches. So if I do, it's not 2.5, it's 2 3/4 of an inch. I think that's the halfway mark, is it? You know what I can do is cheat and just fold it and make a tiny crease and then cut it on the crease. So it's almost 2 3/4 of an inch. So if we were to put one here and one here, and then we can embellish these and put stuff in the pockets. I think I'm going to round the top corners, and then we'll add some distress inks to them. I have some rubber stamped images that I made a while back. I'm looking through them to see what I have. I think the brightness of the black shows up better than the purple. I have 2 different ones. Maybe we should do 2 different sizes. I think that'll work. Now, do I want to put some soft color behind that? We could use some purple, or I have a little bit of this left. Do I mat that and put it on top? Or maybe some cheesecloth. We could do some cheesecloth maybe. I'm going to test this again. I've got a smaller piece here. If I were to put that purple have a doily. I could, if I folded it in half and only used half of it, and then put this on top. And let's make this a different color. So I'm going to place this in my spray box and look for a purple, and I think this is lavender. So I'm going to shake it up to get that mica up in there. This is Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. And let's spray this. Well, now my sprayer's not going to work today. I've got a paintbrush here, so I'm going to see. Yeah, I think this color isn't quite dark enough for what I want. Here's a darker purple. Let's see if this works better. If I want to soften it, I can spray a little bit of water on it. I think I need to refill my bottle. And now I'm going to use my heat tool and dry it. See, I think that'll be really pretty for our butterfly. I'm going to add a little bit of Distress inks, and then I'll cut this in half. Kind of use the doily. Come here. And we need to put a little bit of Distress ink on this cut edge. So if we lay that down there, and this one here, and then we've got this butterfly and this butterfly, and I might have a little bit of some thread. Ooh, I kind of have a purpley, and I have this, so let's see what it looks like. I have old thread. I've used to sew for other people for many years, and thread does get old. It gets brittle. So if it does that, it's just better to not use it when you're sewing. I think that's kind of pretty, just adding a little bit on there. I've got this lighter color, but I don't know if it would really be seen as well. Yeah, let's just use this purpley kind of color. So we'll do this again. Just making a nest of thread. Okay, so that'll go here. I may have got more on one than I did the other. All right, so now it's sticking to me. I'll glue these together. So we'll glue down this is that shiny paper, so I'm going to use the beacon glue to glue down the doily. I put it under my chin to keep it pointed down so that it's easier to get the glue out. I found that if I store my glue upright, it makes it so much easier for me to get the glue out of it on my project. Okay. So now I'm going to put a little bit of glue and then lay the threads so they're kind of peeking out. And then I'll glue the butterfly over the top. And to help it, I'm going to put a block over it so that it will stay smushed in place. Repeat that. All right, I think that's rested long enough. So now it's going to go on my page. I found these cards in my stash, and I think if I position them like so, I can have them stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to glue this down as a pocket. I'm not going to use the gussets this time because the pocket is wide enough for my piece of paper that I'm going to put in it. I'll try to make it straight on the page. Do that again. And make sure that I'm down far enough that my card doesn't pop out the top. And I'm going to lay my block again on top. So set this aside to dry for a moment. And I have these two cards, and I saw this little piece, and it fits across there. I'm going to cut two strips out of this. I'm going to cut off where the holes were from when it was bound as a page in a book. I think that's what I want. It's not very straight. And then I'll just kind of cut it in half. So it's roughly almost 1.5 inches. So if we go just past 1, making it as even as possible. But I think it would look really pretty right across the top of each of these cards. Like so. I'm going to trim off this excess and let's add some distress inks and glue it together. Great way to use up all those scraps. I want both sides of this to be distressed. I'm going to go ahead and do that on these two cards. Hey, if you're liking this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I would love to have your comment in the comment section down below. What do you like about what I'm doing? Or if you have a question, feel free to ask. All right, so I think across here and across there. I'm going to glue those in place, and then maybe we'll add some other embellishment on top. I almost dropped it. At least I dropped it glue side up, not glue side down. I have some little labels, and I want to see if any of these would work on here. If I have some that are, I don't know. I think it needs something else. I have these two. I'm going to leave them out for a moment. I have a little bit of some lace. What if I were to put just a piece down and then put that over the top of it? I think that's what I need. Let me get my fabric scissors. Trim that straighter. And do something like that. Makes it look like a little pull tab. This is my label rubber stamp, and I just stamp it on scraps of paper whenever I have some on my desk. All right, so let's put that in the middle. So I'll put a little bit of glue down to help hold the lace. Put that down first, and then the little label. Okay. I have these little bitty flower trim pieces. I think a little piece would be really cute in the corner. Maybe on opposite ones. Yeah. There is a right and a wrong side to this. I just have to figure it out. Okay, there it is. It may need a little pressure on it to help hold it in place. But I think that, oh, that looks really precious. Keeping our white and keeping those pastel-y faint colors. All right, so I want to work on the other side. I've already spent, it looks like, an hour on this. I hope to edit it down to a lot less. But I want to go ahead and do something on this side. I have this piece, and I have some scrapbook paper. So what I could do, I know I put the napkin over the edge, but that's just so I didn't have to cut it off. But I could cut this piece to go down the sides. So just right over here. I think that would be really pretty on there. So I'm going to cut this piece after I glue it. Yes, let's do that. Is that what I want to do? No, I better cut it before I glue it. So I'm just going to mark it with a pencil where I need to cut it off. And I'll fold it just so I know where the center mark is. I'm trying to get it lined up. So that center will go here. And I think what I may do is make some side pockets here. So let's glue this down. If you have flimsy papers, maybe your book pages are thin or your scrapbook paper is thin, adding layers like this will help thicken up your page and give your journal page a little bit more body. I may have gotten a little crooked, but we'll just trim it off. There. So now, I think if I were to fold this in half, and let's also cut it the same height as our base. So I need to cut a little smidge off. I'm going to fold it in half. I will cut that fold. And while I'm here, I'm going to score about 1/2 inch so that I can fold that edge over as soon as I find my bone folder. I don't use a scoreboard. I found years ago that it just got in my way, so I just used my paper trimmer as a scoring helper. Fold that over, which will strengthen that edge for our pocket. And now if I put that down here, see how pretty that'll make the page? Let's add some distress inks and glue this down. Just putting a little bit of Aleene's tacky glue on the flap. I was digging around over here behind me. I have this lace. So do I want to glue the lace on the front? I could glue it here. I could also put it here so that it shows off the edge of the page. I think that's what I want to do, is just add it here. Now, do I want to add it with a stitching, with sewing machine stitches, or glue it? I think today I want to glue it. So first thing, I want to glue this down as a pocket. And then I can glue it on top. And while the glue is drying, we can make some journal cards to go in these pockets and find some embellishments that we may want to put on the page. So this is going to go here. And this one's going to go over here. For a minute I thought I lost my lace piece I wanted. All right, so I'm going to put down some glue right here. And then I'll put this lace, kind of go over it. Oh, and does it matter? It's not, I guess it's kind of two-sided. I'll let that dry before I cut it. So I'm just going to prop this over to the side and then do this edge. Okay, I think that'll look really, really pretty once it's dry. So we have this really large area that we can put more things on. And let me audition this piece. I think if I were to glue that in the middle and put one on each side, I don't know why I'm getting flashed out here. Come on. But I think that would look good over here. So I'm going to tear two of these off, and let's add some distress inks to the edges. Kind of give it a vintage look there. And let's find a piece of paper that we could use as large pockets or large journal cards. I have a textured piece of cardstock that's white, and I think what I could do is maybe cut this to be 8 by 10. Let's cut one and see if we like that size. I don't know if I want it that big. Maybe I should make it smaller. Let's make it 7.5. by, let's do 9.5 and see how that looks. It fits. It would cover this piece, so we have a nice piece. Yeah, so let's do that again. 7.5. No, that is not correct. 7.5. Yeah. By 9.5. Is that what we said? See, I've already forgotten. I'll use my first cut. Yeah, was 9.5. Sometimes I doubt myself when I'm doing stuff like this. Oh. So if this was placed in here, and this was placed in here, like so, do we want to find something to go down the edge? I don't think these are, I don't think I have 2 of them. I don't have 2 of them. I think maybe I could stencil over the top of these. I'm going to pause for a minute and look around and see what else I need to get. I dug around for a minute and I found my flowers and vines stencil that I think I want to use on these. So I'm going to pop them out and set this over to the side. I'll grab a scrap of paper here and put down one of the pages and then put my stencil over the top. And I've got the shaded lilac and a little blending tool. And we're going to add a little color to this white piece of paper. Oh yeah, just real soft pattern on there. I'm going to leave the backside blank. Let's do that again. There it is. I'll clean my stencil off later. For now, I'm just going to put it away. I am going to clean my hands though. Sometimes my hands get really messy. I sometimes wear gloves, and today I forgot. I've got my corner chomper, so I'm going to chomp these corners, get it in my hand better. And let's go around the edge with some Distress ink. I think those look really good. I have this stationery that Henry's grandmother gave to me, and I think I want to use a couple of those in the pockets. I think that would be a nice layered look, because you'll see a little bit of it and the other peeking out from behind. Get this. All right, let's cut off the lace now that this is dry. Now I got these out thinking I would glue them down, and then this is going to tuck over it. And then when you take this out, I don't know, I kind of like the way that paper looks. I'm going to save these for another time. You know, I changed my mind. That's what happens. Put this in here. And then this one can go over here. And then our page can close. I think that's rather pretty. It's simple. Oh, you know what? I just saw that I had 2 of these butterflies that I can put up in the corners like that. I think that would be really pretty. I could put them down here at the bottom, but I think the top looks better. All right, let's glue those down. You know, when you work in your junk journals, your journals, you can embellish as much or as little as you like. If you want it to have a lot of bling, buttons and whatnot, feel free to do so. I don't always do it, and sometimes it's because if I don't see it right in front of me, I don't use it. So I just kind of play around with what I have. All right, well, I think this is good enough. I think this is good. I like the way it looks. So let's go with it. Putting the cards in the pockets. Put this on the other side. All right, so we started here, and I added the napkin and some scrapbook paper, one of the calico collage images here, and a gel. Actually, I think this is just, I'm going to call it a mixed media. I think I colored the paper with tattered angels, and then I used a stencil to get the pattern on top, and then I layered it with some white cardstock that I had. This was a rubber stamp that I put on top of a piece of fabric and then a little ticket. In here I stamped the henna rose and added a little bit of embellishment. Did the back as well. Then when we flip over here, I have 2 pockets that I made out of that same paper we used on the other side, and then using some scraps and then some pre-made cards that I had and rubber stamped images, we embellished this side. And then we opened this up, and I used some scrapbook papers, and then I had some cardstock and stenciling, and this was some old stationery and rubber stamped image with a little bit of lace. Did you like this session? Did you see something in here that you would use in your journal? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching today. Again, if you have any questions, or if you just want to tell me what you liked best about this video, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you next week when I come back live, and I'll be continuing on with the white and soft colors journal. Did I make the mark? I think so. White and soft colors all together. Y'all have an amazing week. Thank you so very much. Lots of love to each and every one of you. Do something creative this week. Get in your space, make something, and then share it with somebody else. Even if it's just sharing a photograph, or maybe you'll mail something out to someone else. Be kind to others out there. You never know what someone else is going through. We all have our ups and downs and things that we're going through. So think of that when you talk to somebody else. They may be going through something. Give them a smile. Give them a hug. Say hello. Tell them you care about them. Y'all have an amazing week. Lots of love. Again, bye.